Guys, Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Welcome to the video. We're going to talk about the top 10 targets, free targets, farmable champions for all players, especially through the eyes of a free-to-play. And God knows I don't know anything about free-to-play, so I am not alone today. I am joined by Boozer!
He's here.
Boozer, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Ash? Thanks so much for having me back on the channel. Really excited to be here to talk about these champions.
It's a pleasure, man. Since the last time that you came on, man, your channel has really taken off. Congratulations on all your success.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much. You're a big part of that, of course.
No,
right?
no, no, it's all you, bro. I just drew a few eyeballs and you did the rest, and now people are finding you organically because you have such a unique content offering in a raid space that, I mean, I love all the creators in the space, but sometimes we can be repetitive, right? Like the same fusion, the same news, the same whatever. But you're an end game, like the world's top or one of free-to-play players ever. You even have the receipts to back up that you haven't spent $1 on your account. We have a whole video talking about the free-to-play perspective, the come up of Boozer, and how hard it is to maintain an end game free-to-play account like yours. So you guys can check that out. I'll have it in the description and the pinned comment. It was a really good video.
Hey, don't touch it ever. Do not do that.
One of my favorites. Actually, I referenced you after my $1 million account review video as like, wow, I wonder if it's worth $1 million to be this guy versus Boozer, you know, like from a philosophical, like I wonder what your enjoyment levels are. But anyway, I'll try to link that video if I can as well, sharing my thoughts there. Anyway, let's cut to the chase here, Boozer. I know all these champions. I have all the champions, I think, on your list, but I pulled them when I already had a bunch of like void legendaries, you know, like, so they didn't have the same impact on my account that they will have for a lot of accounts, free to play, low spenders, no spenders, whatever, everything in between. So why don't you kick things off, man? Who is one of your first kind of targets, must have champions for every player out there that's farmable?
Okay, yeah, so like this topic is really cool because actually it makes me think back a couple years because some of these champions are really old. But I remember some of the champions along the way that really helped my progress out. I know it's kind of back in the day and I don't really want to include her in this top 10 list because she's been kind of power crept, over the years, but an honorable mention would be the rare War Maiden. You can farm from campaign. Yeah. She is a rare. She brings the AoE decreased defense on the 3-turn cooldown. Easy to book out, easy to build. Maybe you don't have to commit to a 60, but bring it to 50. You'll still use her in faction wars and all that stuff, but definitely a good champion to bring along in your early teams. So just an honorable mention for that one because she can be targeted, like, like we are talking about. So
yeah, the Dreadlands, and I would like, let me know if you disagree, but I would still recommend every single player, even the world's biggest Kraken, go pick up War Maiden if you don't have her, because like there's still secret room content and stuff like that she's like still valuable, you know?
Yep. 100%, yeah.
All right, cool. And when you're farming her in the Dreadlands, you can also, or the Deadlands. I don't know why I always say Dread. What an idiot. While you're farming her in the Dreadlands, you can pick up Shield Guard, who's pretty good too, for a farmable mention. Okay, now on to the main list, man. Who we have as the #1 target?
All right, so I think in the beginning, the #1 target has to be Mithrala. Getting Mithrala is a massive boost. She's obviously one of the few 3-turn cleansers in the game. She is more accessible in some ways than both Lydia and Arbiter. Just because of the way the missions are structured. Lydia requires, a huge roster to complete the faction wars or at least a lot of effort, whereas Mithrala you can kind of just get with one team in Hydra if you can just produce the damage in Hydra. Obviously, that's not easy to do, but I've seen a lot of people get Mithrala before Lydia and Arbiter. So Mithrala is a massive, massive boost to any new account. She brings increased defense, increased attack, as well as great base stats and obviously survivability. Poison, she's great against bosses. She's great in arena, great everywhere. Just a massive free champion.
Dude, I did a video titled, how to figure out how to 6-star, who to 6-star next or something like that. And I made that same point, man. Like, you should focus, and again, let me know if you agree with here, but like every player should, as soon as you're out of like the early game, You should just be full focus Hydra, in my opinion, just because of how much of a game changer she is. Like, that starts this massive snowball on your account where you're able to clear so much content that otherwise you wouldn't be able to, because she just brings so much of what you need in one champion, you know?
Yeah, she's incredible. Yeah.
Okay, who we got next, man?
Okay, so another champion, I know I mentioned a couple here with Mithral, but
I didn't want you to become like me.
I think another champion that actually is really, really good, and he kind of comes into your account at a point where if you didn't get lucky in your roster, or if you weren't, too lucky pulling shards or anything like that, he really helps you out, and it's going to be Drexar. You're going to pick up his fragments. Yep, you're going to pick up his fragments from the tag team shop. Make sure you guys pick up his fragments every day. Don't stack up 100 fragments worth of coins and then pick them all up in one day. I've heard of this, and I've seen this happen.
Then you have to wait.
Yep, and then it takes them 100 days afterwards to get them. So make sure you guys buy his fragments every day. He's an incredible champion. Brings AoE provoke, HP burn, passive HP burn. He's actually very easy to build in this regard. He doesn't need books to function, which is even better. So from a free play standpoint, he's incredible. I still use him in some random teams here or there, but he's great against Doom Tower waves, great against the Doom Tower bosses. So he's going to carry you in that content, and he'll come when you need him, basically. So I like him.
Yeah. Where do you use him? What's your favorite build on him? Like like kind of a self-sustain type thing?
Yeah, like a lifesteal set or or regeneration.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right. Totally agree with you. Drexar it's cool. Like, he's such an all-around boss killer, to your point, right? Like, Doom Tower, like half the bosses he's really good at. So good call out there. Who do you have number 3?
Number 3, I got Archmage Helmet. He's actually the first rare champion you pick up from normal Doom Tower after doing the secret rooms. At the point where he comes in, he's actually really, really good because he brings AoE stuns. He can help you lock down waves. Obviously, if you're finishing off normal Doom Tower, you're probably entering hard Doom Tower, and having the AoE stuns is very, very good. He's a epic champion, so he's easy to book and all that. He's a hard carry for faction wars, for the banner wars. He's incredible there. And of course, if you're starting to build your seer, he's going to be really, really good at powering your seer with all those buffs. So great champion to get, great champion to target.
Yeah, he really is. I agree. Archmage, I complain a lot about Doom Tower champions here on the channel, Boozer, but he is definitely a bright spot in Doom Tower champions, especially, as you mentioned, being the first dude that you get. That means even if you can only clear the first couple secret rooms in the early game, you can still get this dude. Like, you'll still get him. So he is it's great that you get him first. I love that he's fast. To your point, he's a really cool champion. So yeah, that's totally agree with you on Archmage.
Yeah, he's
Next
awesome.
up.
So next up, I think we have to give the shout out to Arbiter. I think by the time you get Arbiter or a champion like Arbiter, the most reasonable comparison is the epic Gorgrab, which is like a smaller version of Arbiter.
Yeah.
Yep, old school Arbiter. But Arbiter, she's still super useful in all areas, mainly still arena, but she can still be used for any kind of like dungeon crawling team. She's still good in Doom Tower as well. So usually by the time you pick up Arbiter or have the abilities to pick up Arbiter, you're usually entering hard Doom Tower as well. She's going to be a big help there as well for you. And she's going to be useful all the way to the end game. Still very, very good champion. So definitely somebody to target and pick up for your roster for sure.
Absolutely, man. Totally agree. And she could even be, I actually like her too in Hydra, you know? It's not like the best in the world, but I love the increase. A lot of turn meter fill, considering you can use that A4 as a 20% turn meter fill as well. And remove some buffs on that A2. Love Arbiter. Who we have? Do you love Incarnate? Do you love Incarnate, Weezer?
Incarnate? Nah, I play tested it.
So
I play tested her.
Right?
Yeah, I play tested her and I did the fusion, but I couldn't really make her work out, and I haven't really seen anybody really put too much use into her. So
I really wanted her to be good. And for those who don't know, she's Arbiter's companion champion that they added. But boy, she's really, really rough.
Yeah, underwhelming.
Okay. I digress. Who you got next, man?
After that, I think we gotta go with the basically the big faction war prize, which is Lydia. Lydia, after all these years, when she was first released, she was like super hammed up and kind of like OP. I think her base speed when she was first released was like 120 or something, and then they nerfed her down to like 110.
I forgot about that. If that happened,
yeah,
interesting.
when she was released, when she was released, she had like some ridiculous base speed, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's too strong," and then she got nerfed.
I do remember people were like, "This passive is gonna break the entire game."
Yeah. So Lydia, a couple years old now, still very good. One of the few champions with the AoE decreased defense and weaken, but she does have probably the best AoE decreased defense and weaken because it brings the speed up and strengthen on the same move. And her passive still very unique, and it finds a way into metas all the time. Very good against the Frostbiter, which I think she was designed to beat. She was designed to beat the Frostbiter. So by the time you get Lydia, hopefully you're able to clear hard Doom Tower. So then she's going to help you a lot, makes the Frostbiter really easy to deal with. But she's going to be in all your dungeon teams, Hydra teams, everywhere. She's still a great champion. Definitely somebody worth getting from Faction Wars for sure.
For sure. Ice Golem, especially when you get to Ice Golem hard, she'll block the revive of the guards. To your point, you can use her basically everywhere. I'm curious from your perspective as a free-to-play, like right now where you are, like where do you currently, if anywhere, use Lydia on your account?
Okay, that's a good question. I pulled her out of my dungeon accounts, dungeon teams, because usually you use her with Seer, because Seer obviously takes off the buffs and then increases your damage. But we're at the point where like my Seer, for example, and I'm sure a lot of people's are just so strong that they don't need so many buffs. And so I don't use Lydia anymore because she does have a 3% chance to get resisted. And once she gets resisted, the sequence of your turns get all messed up in your dungeon runs, and then there's chances to fail. So instead, I've opted to use Ghostborn, which is an AoE decreased defense that's 100%.
Be resistant.
Irresistible. So I use him instead of Lydia. But the one place where I use Lydia right now is Hydra. So in Hydra, she's in a 9-piece protection set. She gets the she gets the extra damage for your whole team, as well as decreased defense and weaken. And then, you could use her in a Hex set. Hex set works well on her. So she's landing 3 debuffs. And then she has the block buff single target, which is pretty cool too. She's just a great champion. So much as a utility. Yeah.
She really is. I still use her in a Hydra as well. That's I use her in Hydra, and I still use her in my dungeon, or my Doom Tower, Wave Seer team as well. So I end up using her quite a bit still, and obviously other random areas like Centranos if she's available and whatever. Okay. Lydia still got it. She's the Faction War reward, which to your point earlier, I feel like she's like the last that you get, right? Out of Mithrala and Arbiter, right?
Yeah, it feels like that.
Interesting. Okay, and I think that Mithrala is, well, whatever. It's pointless to say who's better because they're both incredible in their own ways. Who you got next?
So I know he is a little bit of a new champion, but I feel like he's super, super powerful. He's a little bit more of an endgame champion, I think, but we have to give a shout out to the new Marius champion for the new Marius missions. I think he's an incredible champion. Man. Yeah, his kit is awesome. I mean, he's good in so many places. He's good. Wave clear, arena, Hydra, just incredible, very special ability with the enfeeble, the triple hits, max HP slams. Just a great champion, and he's one of the only like free to play, accessible, farmable ways to deal with mythical champions. Kind of. And like right now, I'm working really hard to get Marius. I slacked really hard in the beginning because I just wasn't focused on it. I saw people spending thousands and thousands of gems to get through some of the missions, and I wasn't really interested in doing that. But now I was like, oh man, I need to get this champion. So I've been working really hard on getting the Marius missions out of the way.
Me too, man. I've also slacked so bad that I don't even want to talk about it, but I need this dude. I need this dude.
You can have whatever you want.
He's creeping up the use rates too in Gold 4 Live Arena, man. Like he's at like 12% pick rate right now, which is, he started obviously at like 1, but he's just been steady climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing because of mythicals and him just being a solid all around champion who's very tanky, very fast. He's really cool. A lot of damage. All right. Who next?
I think I'm gonna go with Akoth this year.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's he's the second epic champion from normal Doom Tower. So he's after Archmage Helmet. Akoth is basically any accounts guaranteed AoE HP burn champion. So if you're, if you missed everything, if you missed Artak, you missed all the HP burn champions up until now, you have the option to get Akoth this year. And Akoth will definitely help you tackle hard Spider once you get there. Of course, he can actually solo Spider 20 with food, and he's definitely a huge help from like Spider 21 to 25, but he also can help in Spider hard as well. So you always have the option with this champion to be able to deal with one of the tougher dungeons that are more like champion specific, like in Spider, for example. So I think Akoth is definitely worth targeting, especially if you're lacking that AoE HP burn champion.
Yeah, good call out. I've always kind of hated on him just because he's so niche to Spider, but you're right, man. Like, I mean, he can solo, and for when you get him, that might be very valuable to you, especially if you don't have that burner. So it's a really good call out.
Yeah, just a really good champion to like use for like fusions and stuff, because then you can double dip the training and all that, especially if you want to be super energy efficient and do dungeon 20s, for example. So
what do you do on dungeon training? How do you what's your go-to team in order to get the champion training points?
So usually for fusions, the tournaments are just points. They're not like turn attack. The turn attacks are very punishing for like newer players because they have to have optimized teams.
Yeah.
But the fusions right now, they're just normal dungeons, so they're just farming the gear. So in this case, I have like I use Eric's actually to solo farm hard 10 with 4 food. So that makes it very easy to do like dungeon divers. Training. Yeah, I was Slayer gear.
Nice.
So yeah, free to play Slayer gear. So I just slapped it together, and then she works. The stat requirement is not too insane. So I do.
That's cool. How long does it take on our runs? Like 20 seconds?
Like about a minute 10.
Okay, a minute. All right, okay.
Yeah, so not too bad. Yeah, not too bad.
All right, cool. I'm always trying to pick up some tips along the way, because you're like, I was telling you off air, but like you have, for me, just because you have to be, because you're free to play, you are like the best resource when it comes to event planning, because you have to really dive in, try to get all the bang for your buck in terms of energy and everything else. Are you going for this current fusion? It's not going to age too well, but are you going for this fusion? I imagine you are.
Yeah, I'm going for it. It's to me, it's a very straightforward, like simple fusion. To be honest, the summon event offered an epic, which is makes things very easy, and then the champion chase that we just had today. It's a very nice event with the 2x ancients happening with the chase, and then the points are very reasonable. And then of course, if you saved up the void rares from the event, you can just pull them for 50 points. That's pretty significant. And also the prism pulls. So those are just free points pumped into this chase. So the chase rare is very easy to get. So
I like that, man. I feel like everybody complains all the time that things are getting harder. I'm not saying they're not, but
they are getting harder.
Okay.
But.
Yeah. Well, give me a quick intermission. What are we at? 5 or 6 right now? 6? 5?
Where are we at? 2, 4, 6, 7.
Oh crap. All right. Intermission here. I want your quick take on fusions getting harder.
Yeah, fusions, like most of the thresholds are getting harder. Like we just saw with the most recent summon Rush, the epic was at 5,500 points, which is a new record, I believe, because usually they're around 5,000 or just slightly less. So, roughly around 9 or 10, but then they've been going up steadily up to 9 or 10. Now it's up to 55, which is 11 sacred shards worth. So we can see that is getting more expensive. We already know that the artifact enhancement events have been, they've kind of been stagnant, but they've been super expensive already. The dungeon divers already so expensive for 3 days, but they have been a little bit stagnant for a little bit. But I think the thresholds, they're testing us. They're testing us to see if these are achievable, right? Like, and I think they have their own metrics or whatever.
So
that
you
show
think that basically, as long as people participate enough percentage, they'll just continue to raise it based slowly over time.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, bummer. I would sit here and grandstand about like they need to stop that right now, but like we all know I'm wasting my breath and everybody's time.
No.
All right. Who we got next?
Okay, so next up I got Dark Kale. So again, he is one of the epics from normal Doom Tower. So I'm targeting kind of normal Doom Tower just to make it more accessible for everybody, as like, you know, more accessible champions that everyone can get. Normal Doom Tower secret rooms are, you know, much more easier to deal with, you know, compared to the hard ones. So these epics like Archmage Helmet, Akoth, and Dark Chaos should come relatively, you know, organically, I guess, for most accounts. You just do them and then you get them, right? So Dark Chaos really good. He's just a great champion to deal with hard dragon, especially once you start getting up to that point. Not everybody will have a proper roster to deal with hard dragon. Hard dragon hits super hard. The poisons laid down by him hit like they just chip you off really easily. But Dark Chaos is really good. He brings attack down. He brings the poisons, which is what you need to deal with the hard dragon efficiently. Another champion that deals with him really well is Mithrala, of course, but Dark Chaos is an epic. And you know, it might be debatable whether you get Dark Chaos first or Mithrala first, but he's very good.
It's pretty interesting that they're even in the conversation. But yeah, I love Dark Kale. I just did a video on him as well. And man, he's just one of the better epics, I feel like, in the entire game, right? Like he's the activation of the burns and the poison really makes him viable even for like Ice Golem hard as well. And obviously Clan Boss, he's a beast and he has the mitigating critical damage to just add that consistency to your runs as well. So yeah, I think that's a great choice. All right, next up.
Next up, two more. A little bit of a more end game option here, I think. But he's available to you, so anyone can basically perform like really well in Hydra. But the champion I'm talking about is Varl. So Varl is one of the legendary champions from the Doom Tower hard mode. So this is doing the hard mode secret rooms to get Varl, and Varl comes after Gomlock, which is the champion you have to get by doing the secret rooms to unlock Ramontu. So Varl is a pretty end game champion, but he is available to everyone and he absolutely crushes Hydra in terms of damage. He brings the AoE weaken, he has scaling attack damage. He does incredible amounts of damage to the Hydra. He's kind of like, for me, like a benchmark of how good a damage dealing champion is in Hydra. If you're better than Varl, you're like
SS tier.
You're SS tier, right?
Yeah.
And then if you're up to his level, you're already SS tier. But you know, he's one of the best. He also brings weaken, which is super important for Hydra as well. If you want to start cranking out the really big numbers, not everybody has weaken on their team.
So great Mishinaki type pairing, you know, you can get them both. I agree, man. I was so late to the Varl train, dude. Like I always just thought he sucked, really, you know. And then I don't know, like 3-4 months ago or something, I was doing a collab, I think with Scratch, and he was like, he listed him as like one of his top 5 or something Hydra damage. I'm like, top 5, bro. I'm like, come on. And then I tried him, and holy crap, dude, he was right. He'd like, this guy's nasty because of that mass murder.
I always do the classy thing.
Escalation, as you point out. So yeah, even though to your point, it's going to take you a long time to get him, you'll be able to use them, you know, provided it's not in 2 years from now and things are power crept even more.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah. Okay. Only one more left. I'm assuming we're excluding Maud because, like, let's be real here. It's going to take you 150 years, right?
I don't think I'm ever going to get Maud, to be honest.
I have like I'm not going to get it either.
I have like 20 fragments. It's so bad.
Dude, that's my thing too. Is like I thought being a dirty pay to win that I was gonna like get her in no time, but I think I went for too many fragments that I don't have it. Like I have like 24 or something. You know.
I don't like when people are, what do you call it, happy.
I think she is the fusion for people that don't like fusions.
Right.
That's what. Yeah,
I guess you're right there. That's a good call out. Another one that well, you have one more left. I don't want to say it because I was going to give another honorable, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I gotta have the list, you know, filled out with Ramontu. So he is at the end of the Ramontu missions, and although he is kind of like not super like S tier arena meta, he's still very good for obviously Doom Tower waves. He's gotten a lot better since the introduction of Teox. So Teox makes Ramontu way more viable in arena. Yeah, I do on one of my accounts, not my main account, unfortunately. He is so insane, jealous. By the way. Teox is insane.
I know, dude.
So good, man.
But Ramontu, talk about the impact. So where do you use him right now, if anywhere, on your account?
I have Ramantu built for damage in a one-turn stone skin for arena, and I do use him once in a while if I don't see the enemy with too many sheeps, or if they're susceptible to like debuffs and stuff like that. He's really good. He actually hits pretty hard. Like my guy is like crit capped and all that, but he's not like in lethal or anything. But he actually deals pretty good. His multi hits are really good at killing like Rotos, for example. His passive lockout can kill Wukong like instantly. So my passive lockout can lock out Wukong's passive and then kill him, so he won't come back. So that's one of the main uses for Ramantu as well, for me at least. I can see people using him for like Doom Tower waves and stuff like that against like Sifi Rotos waves. You know, just take care of him, or Mortu waves.
Yeah.
Great champion. I'm sure he'll come back eventually, especially with the new Feral set, which basically stops him from getting sheeped. So
yeah.
No,
good call out. Good call out. Okay, so I was surprised at 2 non-mentions, but one of them I could kind of understand because, yeah, I guess you can say Carnage, but like it takes you a long time to get him, I guess. But either way, what do you think of Carnage? Do you have Carnage?
I don't have Carnage. I'm like 2/3 of the way there.
Okay, I'm right there too. I'm like, I think I'm a day or 2 away. So I'll have him in a second.
Oh, nice.
But man, I was surprised, man. I'm not sure if you've seen any content on him, but a lot of people were down on him. But man, he seems like an absolute Hydra monster. You know, like the numbers I've seen him pull out, dish out are insane.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen him used too much actually. I played against him a couple times in live arena, but not
doesn't impress you, right?
Yeah, nothing too crazy yet.
Me neither. I'm not scared ever if I go against him in live arena, but I saw some insane numbers with him, and I was like, whoa, okay. Also, the big fella, I love this guy, Euros' Soul Cage. Is he? Undead? He's undead, right? I always forget what he is. You like Euros? You like Euros? I guess he's a little bit redundant with Drexstar in some ways. Obviously, it's poison and burn, but he's like a solo machine, right?
Yeah, Euros like makes Scarab like totally irrelevant. He's the second legendary champion from Doom Tower Hard. So by the time you get him, you maybe struggle with, you could have struggled with Scarab up until then, and then once you get Euros, like Scarab's just deleted.
Yeah, true.
Or by the time you get him, Scarab is already not a non-issue for you, because it really depends on your progress. He can make life super easy against Scarab. He does have other uses too, but I think there's other champions that are better than him for like protecting your team. He also brings like passive poisons and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's a very interesting champion. I always thought he's a little bit underrated, but I also see your point. Like, it's not like, other than the Scarab, it's not like there's one area that you're like, yes, he is dominant, but cool champion nonetheless. Hey, Boozer, thanks so much for coming on, man. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. I appreciate your insight in addition to just the champion list as well. We'll have a link to your YouTube channel in the description below of this video. I'd highly recommend everybody checks out Boozer's content. It's definitely one of a kind and worth your time. Thanks again, man. Any final words?
No, that's it, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it as always, Ash. It's always a pleasure. It's super fun as always. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you guys around.
Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching till the end. Take care.